Have you invested countless hours growing your crypto wealth only to find yourself buried under a mountain of disorganized transactional data several years later? How do you even begin to untangle this mess? Today, I'm going to share with you three common mistakes that many crypto investors make. And if this situation sounded very familiar to you, or you're worried that it's going to become your reality, don't worry. I'm going to show you how you can streamline your process to make yourself have a very stress-free tax season and overall year. So let's get ready to simplify your crypto taxes and turn that nightmare into some peace of mind for you. Has this happened to you? You've ended tax season, you're confident about your investments, only to realize that you have a massive amount of unrecorded transactions and it is a nightmare. Now, poorly managed crypto transactions could mean overpaying your taxes, facing this complex mess that could take you days to untangle. And without diligent tracking and or management, you also risk just the peace of mind, the loss of sleep, the sleepless nights, and possibly not being in good standing with the CRA. So what's the first thing you can do? So let's tackle the first one. And the one that's kind of the biggest headache for most crypto investors, because let's be honest, doing accurate record keeping, that's not fun. What you're doing there in the DeFi space and growing your crypto wealth, that's the fun part. This is kind of the dry administrative part, but it has to be done. So maintaining precise records really is the secret to being able to have a really stress-free tax season. And you can actually automate a lot of this with accounting software like Coinly, Crypto Tax Calculator, or even CoinLedger. And it can help you to essentially automate many of the transactions that you may have. Now, there's one little disclaimer that I've kind of mentioned about this, and that those three that I mentioned, which are the biggest ones that most of my clients do use, Coinly, Crypto Tax Calculator, and CoinLedger, is they generally do tend to service the bigger markets. So we're talking United States, UK, and the EU, which means that some of the exchanges that we use only in Canada often aren't really supported, and therefore you'll have to do essentially manual data dump, and then a manual upload and manual reconciliation. I would actually like to hear, so what is your go-to crypto accounting software that you find working for you? What parts of it aren't working for you? There are probably areas that aren't. Share in the comments. I would love to know more about it. The next huge pitfall that many crypto investors make is that there is a lot of misinformation out there on the internet. And there's a lot of conflicting advice. You hear from friends, from colleagues, you're reading it on different third-party software, you're reading on Reddit, you're reading on Twitter, and you're wondering, what is really the answer here? And the best way to ensure that you are not falling into the trap of getting misinformation is to use reliable sources. And what are the reliable sources? To be honest, the only reliable source is the CRA. And it has official documentation. And there are three guides, one for general crypto assets, one specifically for staking and mining, as well as for GST application. And those links will be available for you down below. Now, I know this is really dry, and you really like, many people love those Coinly, tax guides, but always remember, Coinly is really just reading the regulation and interpreting it how they understand it. It is not a Canadian entity and not an official entity giving you that advice. So there could often be, and I have found, incorrect information in those guides because it is not the final regulation. So always be wary of any third-party answer. And you're wondering, well, how am I going to kind of understand it? And the best way I have found for my clients to really understand it is to understand two key things. The first is, what is your question? So pose your question first, write it on a piece of paper, write it down. Then the next is kind of understand what kind of activities are you engaging in, and what's kind of your intent of what you're trying to do here with this. If you know the answer and you have those three things prepared or in your mind before you start reading those Canadian regulations, you will then have some contextual framework. Just reading the regulations itself is honestly very difficult because it's like, well, I'm not really sure. Does this apply to me? How does this work? And so having kind of almost like a little case study, whether it be your own case study or using somebody else's question as a case study that you might have seen, that helps you to then apply it to the regulation. The other thing you're going to notice is that there are gaps. It's not complete. And there's little gray areas all over the place for all kinds of things. And that's why you do want to speak to a professional who understands your particular case and can really help you. So if you are all about making your crypto life easier and you want to build more wealth, you've come to the right place. I'm going to be making more videos that are going to help you handle your digital assets just like a pro. So be sure you hit that like button, subscribe, ring the bell, and I'll see you in the next video.